Well, good morning, dear morning birds. Um, I'm going to share a version of a talk that I gave last fall to the Buddhist studies class that Alan and I took. It was a year-long, academic year long course, and it was the second of a four-year program in Buddhist studies. We met every 2 weeks on Zoom and did readings in between. And for each of the meetings, um, a different student would offer a presentation on that week's reading. We also did mindfulness practices before each class. Um, so there was chanting and bowing and silent meditation in forms seem very familiar, that would seem very familiar to me, because the class comes out of a lineage that is, it's part of the same lineage as Plum Village, although it's not a Plum Village. Um, I don't know how to describe it, but it's a parallel lineage to Thich Nhat Hanh, um, and what he's taught, and they use many Thich Nhat Hanh texts and chants. Um, so yeah, so there were many different presentations, and they were all very unique. Some of the students brought really creative approaches. Some did art. Some did really creative PowerPoints, and some just talked, and they were all wonderful. And I learned an awful lot from the class, and it was really joyful and uplifting. So the talk that I gave, which I'm going to give a version of, including a meditation, is on the Anapanasati Sutta, which is one of the Buddha's greatest hits. It's a sutra on using breathing as a focus of awareness and enlightenment, and a tool for reaching insight. Um, and I used as my main text a translation and commentary on it by Thich Nhat Hanh called Breathe, You Are Alive, a book that has 2 exclamation points in its title. It was a wonderful book, and very slim and accessible and easy to read book. So I'm going to offer some of the meditation as the start. Um, but just a comment, I know that for some people, focusing on the breath is not easy. Um, it is the breath is a powerful tool, can be a powerful tool for regulating, calming, and gaining some control over the mind and relaxing the body as well, and has been central to Buddhist and yogic teaching for thousands of years. Um, However, for most of those thousands of years, the teaching was offered in the context of one-on-one teaching, where a teacher could notice if you were having problems breathing or focusing on your breath and offer ways to that or other practices to help calm your body if the breathing is difficult or causes anxiety. Um, so if you find that focusing on breathing for meditation triggers you or actually makes you more anxious or elevates your heart rate or something, it's okay. You're not a freak. Um, this is normal. You might, there are many things you could do, but you might just focus on something else in your body, or you might try moving your body with your breath, or you might try um, opening your eyes, looking around, reminding yourself that you're safe. Um, so don't feel like you have to focus on the breath, although I will be offering a breath meditation. Um, you can redirect it as you need to. Okay, so here's the scene. Uh, it's a city called Savatthi or Shravasti in what's known as the Eastern Park. This is a city where the Buddha often taught. and it's a full moon night. The Buddha and his disciples have they finished a 3-month rains retreat, which they did every year for many years during the Buddha's teaching, and monastics still do. And all the monastics were practicing so well, the Buddha said, let's practice for an extra month. So they all stayed and practiced for an extra month, which gave more people time to arrive. More bhikkhus and bhikkhunis from around the countryside were able to arrive. And this is actually a photo of the park at Savati or Shavasti, and the structure in the foreground supposedly outlines where the Buddha's hut used to be. I changed the color of the photo so that it would look like a full moon night. So after this extra month of retreat, I just realized I don't have my book. I need this to read from the book. It's an extra month of retreat has just ended. The full moon has just risen, and all the disciples, the bhikkhus and the bhikkhunis, have gathered to listen to the Buddha's teaching. And this is what the Buddha says. O bhikkhus, the method of being fully aware of breathing, if developed and practiced continuously, will have great rewards and bring great advantages. It will lead to success in practicing the 4 establishments of mindfulness, which will lead to success in the practice of the 7 factors of awakening, which will give rise to understanding and liberation of the mind. What is the way to develop and practice continuously the method of full awareness of breathing so that the practice will be rewarding and offer great benefit? It is like this, bhikkhus. The practitioner goes into the forest or to the foot of a tree or to any deserted place, sits stably in the lotus position, holding his or her body quite straight, and practices like this. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Breathing in a long breath, I know I'm breathing in a long breath. Breathing out a long breath, I know I am breathing out a long breath. When I'm breathing in a short breath, I know I am breathing in a short breath. When I'm breathing out a short breath, I know I am breathing out a short breath. Breathing in, I am aware of my whole body. Breathing out, I am aware of my whole body. He or she practices like this. Breathing in, I calm my whole body. Breathing out, I calm my whole body. He or she practices like this. Breathing in, I feel joyful. Breathing out, I feel joyful. He or she practices like this. Breathing in, I feel happy. Breathing out, I feel happy. He or she practices like this. Breathing in, I am aware of my mental formations, my feelings. Breathing out, I'm aware of my mental formations, my feelings. He or she practices like this. Breathing in, I calm my mental formations. Breathing out, I calm my mental formations. He or she practices like this. If you're in a meditation posture, you may want to release that. Um, if your legs are stiff, you can uncross them or massage as you need to. This meditation that the Buddha offered goes on for 8 more steps, all connected to breathing in and breathing out, and all following the same pattern, which goes like this. Long breath, short breath, aware of my body, calm my body. And then proceeding to inviting feelings of joy and happiness, awareness of mental formations, which in this case refer to feelings, and then calming mental formations. Awareness of the mind, and then making the mind happy, and concentrating it, and liberating it. And then finally, breathing in and out, and observing the impermanent nature of all things, observing the disappearance of desire, observing cessation of craving and suffering, and observing letting go. Thích Nhất Hạnh has offered a simplified and accessible version of the Anapanasati Sutta, which I'm sure you will all recognize. It goes like this. In, out, deep, slow, calm, ease, smile, release, present moment, wonderful moment. And the song and the meditation, where he speaks these words and helps you focus on your breathing in and breathing out, correspond to the four major groups of the Anapanasati Sutta. It's simplified, but it's the same basic approach, starting with awareness of breathing, proceeding to calming the body and the mind, gladdening the mind, letting go, and becoming aware of what's happening in the present moment. It's a meditation, a powerful meditation. And I want to talk a little bit about what meditation means to Thich Nhat Hanh and in Buddhism, and what mindfulness means, because we use both of these words a lot. So mindfulness, Thich Nhat Hanh, often called the father of mindfulness because he popularized this word so much and used it so often, is about remembering to observe. It's about present moment awareness, just being aware of what's going on in the present moment. Meditation is a tool for cultivating mindfulness, and it uses mindfulness. It's about stopping and looking deeply, or mindfulness with the added element of just not being aware, but actually concentrating your mind. So it's a practice of actually focusing the mind on a specific object, whereas mindfulness is about paying attention to whatever's going on. But meditation is also a specific activity for a set period or intentional training in the art of mindfulness, whereas mindfulness can be a way of life, a way of seeing, a way of being conscious throughout your life. And some of my classmates in this Buddhist studies class referred to meditation as being like going to the gym, whereas mindfulness is like maintaining good posture. You can use good posture throughout your day, and you also need good posture when you're doing workouts at the gym. But going to the gym also strengthens you and makes it more possible for you to have good posture throughout the day. So let's talk about one aspect of meditation, stopping and looking deeply. Thich Nhat Hanh has written that these are the two crucial elements of meditation. And you can see them both in the Anapanasati Sutta. Stopping, the term that is used in Buddhism a lot is shamatha. Stopping means stopping the activity of our body and our mind and starting to focus a bit and concentrate a bit on what's happening. Looking deeply, a term that Thich Nhat Hanh used a lot in his writing, is known in Buddhism as vipassana in Pali or vipassana in Sanskrit. And it's about cultivating insight by looking deeply into the nature of things. So the prerequisite for looking deeply is being able to stop the activity of the mind and focus a bit, which then opens the possibility of focusing on and looking deeply into things. And if we look at this sutta, it starts with activities that are intended to help you stop and calm down and gladden your mind, and gradually proceeds to looking deeply into what's going on in your mind and in all things that are happening around you. I said at the beginning that the breath is a really powerful tool for meditation and for mindfulness. And Thich Nhat Hanh also says this: by following our breath, and then by combining conscious breathing with our daily activities, taking it into our daily life, we can cut across the stream of disturbing thoughts and light the lamp of awakening. So I think the important thing here is that it's kind of a two-step process and a rhythm that I find, at least, you can practice throughout the day. It's not like you can maintain, or at least it's not like I can maintain mindfulness all day long. But when I find that I'm being disturbed by thoughts or feelings, I can return to my breath and use the conscious breathing to interrupt that stream of disturbing thoughts. And Thich Nhat Hanh and the Buddha offer this hope, this promise, that by building this practice, you gradually strengthen your ability to concentrate and deepen your insight and light the lamp of awakening. So it's a very simple practice. It starts very simple, just being aware of your in-breath and your out-breath. And then just being aware of whether that breath is long or short. But it proceeds from that to being aware of what's happening in your body and your mind, and inviting happiness, inviting your mind to focus on the parts that make it happy, and using that to calm yourself, to calm your mind, and begin to focus it. And with that focus, you're able to see more deeply into the causes and conditions that might be giving rise to your disturbing thoughts and feelings and the suffering for yourself and others. And with that insight, I find sometimes that insight is enough to release the disturbance. But also, if it's not enough by itself just to know what's causing a disturbance, seeing clearly into the cause is almost always a way to know how to end it, what steps I need to take. Okay, there was, in the Buddha's introduction, he mentioned the 4 foundations of mindfulness, and this is another foundation of another key element of Buddhist practice. And I'm not going to go in depth into this. There's another whole sutra called the Satipatthana Sutra, which is the 4 foundations of mindfulness. But I just want to say that it is contained within, in outline form, within the Anapanasati Sutta, within this one. So the first 4 practices in this sutra are about being aware of the body. The next 4 are about being aware of the feelings. The third set of 4 are mindfulness of the mind's activities, of mental activities. And then the final 4 are about mindfulness of mental objects, or dharmas, things that are arising in the world due to causes and conditions. I should say arising in the world or in ourselves, although we're not really separate from the world. So looking deeply into these 4 things is the foundation for, as the Buddha said at the beginning, the 7 factors of awakening, which if practiced and cultivated will lead to liberation. Okay, happiness and joy. There's a lot of happiness in this sutra. I think that's one of the reasons why I like it so much. And there are like 4 different words for happiness. Feeling joyful is this word piti, which often is translated as a feeling of expectant joy. A feeling, if you're, imagine you were traveling through the desert for a long time without any water, and then you see an oasis with a refreshing pool of water in it, you would feel piti, this feeling of joy, because you're excited to be drinking, that you'll soon be drinking water. I feel happy. He uses a different word, which is sukha, and this is often described as the feeling that after you actually get to that pool of water and you start drinking it, then your joy is replaced with happiness. Piti becomes sukha, so it's a feeling of happiness that you have what you need. Later, there's another word, I make my mind happy, or I gladden my mind, a totally different word for happiness. I know a lot less about this one. I can't even pronounce this one properly. It's a very long word. And then in the last section, we talk about the 4th factor of awakening. This is this is not mentioned explicitly, I don't think, in what I read, but the factor of joy, of niramisa, which is another word for happiness that appears in and around this sutra. So Buddhism, many people often think, because we talk about suffering and getting past suffering, many people think it's a pessimistic philosophy, but it's not. As Tay said, we need joy very much. But he also said we also need to go further than joy. To succeed in the practice, we must experience joy and happiness. So we must learn to experience that joyful feeling when you see a friend that you haven't seen in a long time, but also the happiness of sitting together with them and just enjoying being in their presence. Okay, a final note. I mentioned at the beginning that meditation on the breath is sometimes triggering for some people. So I'm sharing this handout, this booklet from Embrace Sangha, and you can get a copy of your own at embracesangha.org. But this just offers some suggestions for things that you could do if you find that silent meditation or focusing on the breath is triggering or causing discomfort for you. So you could just open your eyes and look, you could notice and name 5 colors or shapes. You can move your body. You can walk or lie down. Sometimes I like to sway. I know that Tay and the monastics who he has taught, sometimes when they're breathing, they'll move a hand or both hands in on the in-breath and out on the out-breath. And externalizing the breath into a movement can help you focus, but it can also, I find, sometimes shift the focus, spread it out a little bit. You can also use mantras or gathas, like I am here, I am safe, or hello my heart, I am here for you. All right, my last slide is a picture of a calligraphy by Tay that I saw in Vietnam. And I believe it says, breathe, my dear. To dikon. I don't know how to say it exactly right, but it seemed appropriate. And I'm going to play this song one more time as sung by Phap Lan, who she's one of the wonderful teachers of this Buddhist Studies course. So please enjoy this song, and then we'll have time for a little time for questions and Dharma sharing.
In, out, deep, slow, calm, ease, smile, release, present, moment, wonderful moment. In, out, deep, slow, calm, ease, smile, release, present, moment, wonderful moment.
Thank you, dear Sangha.